Alright, well I haven't put up a video in a while and I was in the middle of this, so I figured I'd give a quick how-to. So, this is how to get rid of your old GM diesel cartridge and base filter for your 6.2s and 6.5 diesels. This one mounts back here behind the intake, and this is your input, it's 3/8. This is your out, it's 1/4 inch. This is your drain, which is 1/4 inch. So the new style diesel fuel eats these O-rings up. It also eats up hoses and everything else with the, ethanol. Everybody's got at least B10 in there, and these things really don't like rubber. They eat it. So instead of having all of these extra filters, O-rings that leak out all over the place, and all of these extra hoses and everything else, do away with all of the crap that leaks, get rid of all of those access points, and replace it with just one. So here's one O-ring. This is a Napa fuel water separator. If you're wondering, the base, the aluminum base, is 4309 from Napa, and the filter is 3123 from Napa. So I took the original mount that this guy bolted to on 4 separate locations, and this has a 3-point mount. So what I did, just drilled an additional 3. Those scrape marks are from me using the file and cleaning up all the burrs and everything, and he's going to mount in place. Well, the problem is this is about 2 inches lower. So what I did, got in here on my lathe and turned up these 1-inch spacers, so that way you can still get the filter on and off without completely removing everything. This is the original one that went in there, so comparatively you're getting the same amount of thread stick out, but it's 1 inch taller, so we raise this up 1 inch. That gives you enough room to back this filter off of the base and get it changed. So next thing that we had to do, if you look at this, so this is 1/2 inch input, 1/2 inch output. It's also reversed. So on the factory style, it comes in on the passenger side, because it mounts like that. Let me clog this so I don't pour fuel all over myself. Mounts like that, and as you can see, the 3/8 input comes from the passenger side, 1/4 inch output goes to the driver's side. Well, this guy is going to have to be mounted in the other direction. So our 3/8 is going to come in from the driver's side, 1/4 inch is going out to the passenger side. So I got some extra hose and stuff that's laying over there. What I did here, I've got 1/2 inch to 3/8 pipe adapter going into a T. Now the reason I'm doing a T is I wanted to maintain this guy. That's your fuel heater. Yes, most diesels do have fuel heaters that I've seen anyway. And what I did is, this is a 3/8 to 5/16 compression. So what I'm going to do is, using that little compression collar, I'm going to take this guy off up to about here and put him in there. So, sorry about that. By the time he's in there and compressed, he's going to be sitting about like that. And yes, it does go in there. I've already checked this. It's going to be a nice tight fit in there. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. So that way your fuel will be preheated on its way into the filter. Now you might be thinking, oh, well, shouldn't that stick into the filter? Shouldn't that do that? Well, on this guy, if you follow this 3/8 input hose, it goes into this section of the housing. This section of the housing right here, that's where that fuel heater goes. So the fuel heater goes there, so it's getting heated before it ever gets into the filter. So we're doing the same thing with a compression fitting, and we're putting it external. Now again, you're getting rid of multiple seals and O-rings and stuff like that that can leak, and you're trading it out for just one. Now the other thing is there's 3 hoses on this guy. You've got your drain, you've got your output, you've got your input. Your input you usually don't have a problem with. It's usually the output. So swap your fuel lines over to this. You can usually tell pretty easy because it'll have a shiny coating on the outside of it. So it's, what do you call it, alcohol resistant, so it won't get eaten up by the new fuel. You can take them and look on the end of them and squeeze them like that, and if you see a bunch of cracks, they're pretty much gone. And I've seen that quite a bit. Usually you'll have like a mechanical fuel pump and it won't be sucking any fuel, and you can't figure out why it's not starting, and everything else seems fine. Well, you're sucking air through that line. So the fuel pump that's on the side of the block is sucking air instead of sucking fuel. So you got a vehicle that won't start. So if you replace those out, I mean, I think I spent $5 on the 1/4 inch diameter and maybe $6 on the 3/8 diameter. And I'm just going to replace the whole thing. On this particular truck, it's a 91. It actually has an electric pusher pump mounted down on the side of the frame. It came like that factory. Down on the side of the engine block, there's a block-off plate where the manual pump would usually go. So this one doesn't have that issue, because I've ran across these 6.2s and 6.5s before where they don't want to start up. It'll take them forever to get any fuel up there because it's all bled back due to an issue with the check valve. That's pretty common with those pumps. So, you know, they bypassed it at the factory. It took them quite a few years to do it, but they finally figured out, hey, let's just put an electric pump in and not even deal with all that stuff. So the only issue that they didn't foresee was these filters with all the O-rings and the new style fuel eating up all of the O-rings. So now we're going to this style. Won't get eaten up. The only thing that's been omitted is down, where's it at? Down here. That is where your fuel in water sender pokes through. Most of the time you won't even see the light come on. I think I've seen 1 or 2 trucks with the fuel in water light that actually comes on. Just stick to your normal maintenance and you shouldn't have an issue with it. You've got your fuel preheat in there. That'll keep most of the moisture and condensate down, so it'll go through the system and burn just fine. But yeah, that guy, I mean, on the newer Duramaxes, those things are super, super touchy, and you got to change them out when you change the filter, and it's pretty expensive to do all of that. But with his older style system, you know, just swapping over the filter base and swapping the filter and stuff like that, I mean, this is a no-brainer. This is going to go from, if I remember right, these filters, they're 20, 25 bucks. That filter is $8. It's a better filter, does the same job, it's going to go in the exact same location, it's going to cost less and be more efficient. So I'll snap a photo of this, I'll pull out the camera again and show you guys the video once I get this installed and how it looks. So that's it for now.